Hello, my name is Kate Marshall. The name of my channel is called Inked Paper Art. And today we're going to make some fun tags for any journal. I'm going to make them neutral. You can make them any different way. I will give you a bunch of ideas. I'm going to link the book that I'm going to use in the description box below the video, but let's go ahead and get started. So I have off to the side my usual stack of rag paper, book page, music paper, and some handwritten documents down here at the bottom. So I've got that stack at the ready. I also have a pile of leftover scraps from a previous project you probably just saw a video on of some craft paper. We're going to use that today. Then I have one of these children's, this is like a workbook from a French child in probably the 1800s. And so we're going to have that for background as well. And I've got some pre-coffee dyed tags. If you don't have ones that are coffee dyed, that's fine. If you want to make your own tags, we're going to do some of that too. So there's that. I have a whole bunch of things pulled. The book that you're going to need for this project, I found this book. It is fabulous. I'm going to link it in the description box below the video. It's the Flower Family album. I have not shown you this book before. And so what this book is the most fabulous botanical images. It is in landscape format, but the most fabulous botanical images that we could ever hope for making junk journals. And so they're just stunning. We're going to be able to use these in today's project. And so it's kind of showing you an overview of how the plants grow and all that kind of stuff. But look at those images, just beautiful. So anyway, we're going to use that book today, and we're going to do some decorating with possibly some Tim Holtz things, some stamps, whatever. We're going to put that off to the side we're probably going to use. Let's get started by choosing the focal point. I'm going to break that spine, choosing the focal point out of this book. And so we're just going to break that, help us take out these pages. These ones all right here, they look beautiful. They're very linear. They'd be great for tags. Some of these ones would too. All different kinds in here. Here's some that are a little bit more bushy like. Let's just choose this page. I really like it. Both of these ones will work. So I'm going to pull out the two of these. Now, I don't care about the top of the paper. I'm not going to put this into a junk journal, so I'm going to just rough tear them out. All I care about is the images. So we're going to start there. And from there, we're going to need to get our tag backgrounds ready. And so I put my tags somewhere. I put my tags here. So the first way is a very simple way of layering up a background. I hope that you guys write this formula down, put this in your idea book. However, lots of you guys already know this, so it's not like rocket science, but this is a like tried and true background layering. If you struggle for layering, here's the technique. So basically, whatever you're using for your cardstock, your journal card, your pocket, whatever you're using, that goes down first. Then you take a piece of packing paper, craft paper, whatever, and you're going to roughly tear that to where it is slightly smaller than your tag. And I want a rough torn edge on both sides. And so I'm just going to kind of fold this in half. That way I can tear both edges at the same. I didn't crease it or anything like that, but I'm just hoping to kind of tear both edges a little bit. And then we've got that. Okay, looking pretty good. I would like a little bit more. So basically the method, I'm going to give you the formula, and then you're going to be able to have this formula forever. There we go. That's better. So I want to see the tag. I do. You may not, but I want to see the tag in the background. Now I've got my little bit of paper here. We're pretty good. Tear that off. That looks pretty good to me. I like how it comes up higher on one side. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to need to pick our little flower that's going to go on that. I definitely want a taller, more slender image. And here we're going to want to tear this roughly. So I'm not like giving it a perfect crease. I'm just kind of highlighting the one that I want out of this page, and I'm going to tear it. And however it tears, it tears. I don't care. That's perfectly fine. There we go. There's one image. Now, if you have stamps that, you know, have these long stems and stuff, you can do that. I know that there are some that are made in another country. I don't like to shop at those places, but they're also very, very small. So if you're going to use those, they're very small images, and this is a very large tag. So I'll show you the measurements. So anyway, I just rough tore a little image out. It could be any kind of image. It could be one of the steel plate engravings from an old book. It could be something that you've printed from a digital from Etsy. It could be a children's book image. It could be a newspaper image. It could be a magazine image. It could be a French fashion lady. It could be whatever you want. The focal point doesn't really matter, but the formula is very simple. We're missing one element. Whenever I do layering, I always do a minimum of 3 elements, not including what it's glued to, usually. So anyway, we have packing paper. That's one element. The next element that we're going to use is some kind of fiber, some kind of lace. It could be sari, it could be thin lace like this, it could be thicker lace like this. It doesn't matter. In here there is just a bunch of laces, and you know, even this coffee dyed cheesecloth can work. Anything like that will work for this project. I'm going to just take a quick little snippet of this flat lace here, and I'm going to use that. And I don't want it a straight cut, so I just kind of pull it and use my scissor blade to cut, and it gives me a little bit rougher of a cut. So anyway, there's that. So 3 elements, not including the base. This is our first element. This is our second element. And then this guy is our third element. Now, if you want to put a label or something, I can't pick it up, a label or something like that on top, that would be perfect too. I'm going to tuck I'm going to pull this lace out from one side a little bit more so that I can see it, and I probably will put a label down here. A label is decorating. It's not included in the formula. So 3 elements: lace, packing paper, focal point. It works every single time. It doesn't matter what your focal point is, it works. I will show you the next couple on the next few projects. Let's go ahead and glue this down quick. Now, when gluing this down, we have lace in there, and we also have paper. Now, you could use something like the 3-in-1 or the Fabri-Tac. That would be fine too. I'm just going to put down a little bit. This is kind of thin lace. It's not heavy. I'm going to put down a little bit of the art glitter glue. And then on the back of my paper, I'm going to add, and I'm not going to glue down the whole thing. I'm just going to add a rough little patch of glue stick. And I don't want the whole thing stuck. And I'm just going to layer that right over top. Right like that. Perfect. It's supposed to look like it's coming off the background a little bit. It's not supposed to be perfectly layered or perfectly glued down. Perfectly flat is what I'm trying to say. My words are escaping me. So then I'm going to glue most of this and stick that down. And there's one done and decorated. We could put a little label on it, and that would be about it. It's already on coffee dyed tag, so it's perfect. It's done. Let's go ahead and make a bunch more, and let's do some different little layering combinations. Basic layering combinations here. Okay, so we used packing paper. That was one. Let's use something out of my pile of goodies over here. Let's keep that over there. We could put some words on. We could put one of these labels, stamp a label, whatever. We'll get to decorating them all here at the end. This is a German book paper. I don't know what's going on. This is a German book that I'm taking a page out of for a background. Okay, so for this formula, you're going to use book page. It could be any kind of book page. I just happen to have German. It happens to be rag paper. It doesn't matter. Any book page will work. So you're going to grab that. We're going to grab another focal point for us. You know, we're just doing these for today. You could use really anything. Let's go ahead and use this simple little daisy right here. I think that's what that's called. Let's use that. I live in Arizona. We don't have flowers. Okay, I'm going to keep going with the tags because they're quick, they're easy, and I need them for a current project. So we're going to do that. I'm going to take this German book page. And again, I'm just going to rough tear it. And so I'm going to fold it in half and I'm going to tear down the edge. I didn't crease it when I folded it. There's that. Now I don't want that point at the bottom, so I'm going to correct that. But other than that little bit, we're good to go. And I was trying to keep this book page number and this title. So let's tear the top and let's pay attention to where things are located as much as we can. We'll see if we got it, but we got some of it. Okay, so I'm good with that. And so you can save whatever's left of your book page if you want for little scrappy clusters or something. Okay, so formula for this one, we're going to do book page and we're going to do our focal point, and same thing, I'm just going to try to fold this and get him out of there. Okay, we'll save that one for the next project. We'll take off the bottom of that. I think we do want the whole thing off of there. And we're going to tear down this edge here too. Perfect. I got a little black there. Okay, great. So there's that. So those are two parts. And you can see that this is pretty small and their tag is pretty big. So we're going to need something to fill in that little bit of space. You know, it could be a variety of things, but for this formula, I'm going to go with music. Music is a good balance to this tight little text back here. So let's go with music paper. So you can use music paper, book page, and a focal point all the time. 3 elements. These 3, you will never go wrong with any of these little formulas. They are super simple formulas. It's not rocket science, but they're very, how should I say this? They're very simple, but elegant designs when they're finished. Okay, so there I found some different colors of music paper because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go with this or I wanted to go with the white. I'm going to end up going with the white on this one. It's just preference to the eye depending on the colors of book pages I've got here. And so we've got 2 different sides. I'm going to do this one right here and I'm just going to tear it. I'm trying to make it a little easier on myself. So I tear this down. I wanted to make sure I saved the little staff part of it. We're almost there. We need a little more off one of the sides. So there's that. Let's see if I can save that. And we'll layer up those book page numbers. Perfect. So book page, music, focal point. Could be any kind of focal point. Now for this one, you can see where the focal point, it is a creamier color paper. This is very white. But if it blends in a little bit too much or you're thinking it might blend in a little much, just give it the slightest little ink, or if you're a heavy inker, of course, you know, ink everything. I'm just going to give it just the little hint. Just a little kiss of ink around the edge, and that's all it needs. Okay, so we're good with that one. That one was book page, music, focal point. Good to go. Now, this tag is pretty white. I think I have a darker one, and that would help us, so that's going to be better. There we go. Let's get these glued down quick, and same thing. I'm not going to glue everything. Now you could add lace in here. You could have, you know, add a lace and even a 5th element if you want. You could go back in and put some packing paper in there if you want. I think it would look great with packing paper, but I was trying to show you a different kind of a focal point, right? So a different layering formula. So we're going to go with a different layering formula. We've already done it. So let's get these glued. I'm just going to rough glue my tag. I'm going to put my book page down. Right up here near the top, I'm going to add a little glue because that's always the, you know, scary part, right? Where people like you know, it gets caught on things, going in and out of a pocket or whatever, it'll be good. So that's glued down. It's not completely flat, but it's good enough. There we go. We're going to layer up those book page numbers here and here. We're going to put glue on this. Super quick little projects. If you guys aren't filming and talking, you can probably get this book or whatever else you're using for focal points and sit down in an afternoon and make 10 or 15 of these in a matter of, like, I don't know, 20 minutes. They're super quick. My ink blending thing needs redone, but super quick. We're just going to outline this one a little bit more. There we go. When he's dry, he'll be flat. He's trying to dry. Anyway, there's 2 done. Let's move on. See how this paper comes up? I really like that about the edge of the paper. I don't want the paper to be completely flat stuck down. So that's perfect and by design. There's 2. All right, let's do another one. We're going to do tag again, of course. This time we're going to do a background that has handwriting. So anytime you have handwriting, you can put book page over it. You can put music paper over it. You could put all different kinds of things over it, really. As long as it's not another thing with handwriting, it will be great. So for this one, do I want that back there? I'm not sure if I want that back there or not, or if I want a different paper. Let me see about a different one. Something with some math or some numbers like this one. I think this is better. Perfect. It's already started to tear for us. All right, let's go ahead and use that. We're just going to tear it down to shape. That's about where I want it. It doesn't want to tear. It's very old paper, and it does not like to be torn. So I'm going to need to correct both of these edges. Take my time. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. I like that. You can see that this is kind of blending in with my tag. So I'm going to want to put something else back there. And I do have this piece of white music. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to fold it over and just tear myself another little bit of it. That gives me rough shape. That's going to go on top of there. We need to bring this in at the top. So I'm just tearing so that I can see all 3 layers of paper when I'm done. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and tear. Let's tear right through there. All right. So this is my music handwriting combination. Music and handwriting. It's looking really good. I need to correct a couple little angles. This book page is not tearing as nice as I would like it to. I'm trying my hardest. It just wants to tear kind of jaggedy like that. All right, we're going to make it work. Anyway, we've got some music. We've got some book page. Now we need our focal point. And I have, from that one page, I still have one focal point left. So I'm just going to use that. And that guy can go on there. And it's okay if you don't have the background all 3 layered so that you can see it everywhere. I would prefer that it was, but that would make us too tight on one side. So I'm just going to bring that up and over just like that. And now we need to tear off the bottoms. And so we're just going to pick them up and we're going to tear off this guy, hopefully. And then this guy. And now we've got them all layered up. They're ready to glue. So this combination is focal point, handwriting, music. If you use these simple, like basic formulas, everything will always look good. Could you add more layers? Yes, you could. I could tuck in a piece of this paper if I wanted to. I could get some, extra color and depth in there if I wanted to. In fact, that looks really scrappy and really cool. So let's just go with that. And then we'll go back and we'll do some multiples of these. I want to get a lot of glue there and kind of tear that off so he just barely sticks out. I want him sticking off the side of the tag just a little bit. So this one, we're going to have 4 right now, but I don't like leaving it with 4. I usually, if I'm going to do 4, I end up doing 5. So there's that. I like the odd numbered formula. So this guy, we need to glue him down a little bit extra because he is really fragile-ish paper. He's great for collage, but he's not my favorite for gluing down or tearing. So I kind of scooted him off to the right side. And then here's my focal point. I hope you guys can find this book. I hope it's available when I go to link it. I said I'm linking it, but I haven't looked for it yet. It usually is, and it usually isn't super, super expensive. Okay, so there's that one. Super cute. Nice, you know, pre-made tags. Okay, so there, we're 20 minutes in. We have 3 completely decorated things. I'm going to do one more with you guys, and I like the lacy kind, so we're going to do that one. We could do journal cards. We could do anything. I could switch it up and put a lady on here or some other focal point. But honestly, I really am having fun with these. So let's just keep going. Let's use this tall, skinny guy. Here's that one. Now he's pretty tall and pretty skinny. Let's see if we could use maybe this math little bit that's kind of going the opposite direction. So you can go up and down instead of left to right. And I'm going to fold it, but it's probably not going to tear perfectly. It did that time. Almost. Okay. So there's that. We need something else back here. And I'm really liking that packing paper look. So I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to overestimate, give it a little crease to kind of where I need it. Fold and tear. All right, let's see how we did. We need to bring in this side just a little. Good to go. And I am going to have the most awesome pile, I'll show you, of goodiness for clusters later. Okay, so there's the packing paper. Here's our focal point. I did add the handwriting, but I think I want to add the lace too. Let me see. I really like the handwriting. Yeah, I'm going to do the handwriting and the lace. And I'm going to keep that over there. I need this torn a little bit more. Perfect. It's all about revealing layers. That's what it is. Okay, let's get the bottoms torn. There's that one. And if I look at where these are on my tag, I can kind of estimate, okay, he needs torn there. He needs torn a little lower. Good, good. Let's get some lace for this one. I'm going to just use the same one. It's right on top and simple. Okay, so maybe we want the lace to go on the other side, as I am kind of over layering on this side. So anytime you can think of formula like this, the basic categories are some kind of color, right? Color that's just plain. So color, pattern, right? So like a patterned paper, a printed digital that has pattern, wallpaper that has pattern, scrapbook paper that has pattern. So color, pattern, and then you can add music. You can add scripty handwriting paper, either vintage or printed. You could add book page. There are basic formulas there where you interchange 3 of those. Wherever you use music, you can use handwriting or book page. And then you mix in some color and or pattern. So just think of it as categories. So color. I'm going over this one more time. Color, pattern, meaning scrapbook paper, printed floral, digital, something like that. And then mix in music paper, handwriting paper, or digitals, book page, That's a basic formula, and you choose 3 of those things and mix them together and then put a focal point on it. Or your focal point can be one of the layers if you want to keep it pretty simple. And you want to try for 3 or 5 layers when you're combining for collage. It's very, very easy once you do it a whole million times. But for people who are just starting out, they do often struggle with collage. I think it's something where you have to think about it. And I say the same thing when we're making masterboards. I teach you guys, when you're making masterboards, if you don't like the pieces of paper that you put in your pile to select papers to glue down on a masterboard, if they don't go together, if the colors and patterns and things of those scraps don't go together, then the masterboard isn't probably going to be pleasing to your eye. So you need to choose layers that are also pleasing to your eye. If you choose patterns and things that you don't like, that don't look good together, well, they're not going to look any better when you collage them and layer them on paper. It's not magic. You have to start out with things that look kind of good together before, if you combine things that kind of, don't go together, the colors clash, whatever, they're still going to clash whenever they're layered on your tag or your journal page or whatever the case may be. So just remember, start out with things that you like, that go together, that you think go together. If you struggle on finding things that go together, there are color wheels that are helpful for selecting colors that go well together. I usually stick to things that are complementary whenever I'm choosing colors. And then from there, just choose focal points and things that you like or that go with your journal. I don't really want this quite as crooked as I just put it on. But it's really simple after you've done it a million times. So the point of me saying that is not bragging. The point of me saying it is, it's something that when people are really good at it, it's because they've probably done it a lot. And if you keep at it and keep working with different, patterns and colors and textures, you'll get better at it too. It's something that is just a learned skill as you go. There's no secret to it, or no rocket science. Just making that a little smaller so I can see it better. So we layered everything up down one side of this guy. I kind of off-centered everything, and I'm going to put some German paper measuring tape down this side to kind of balance it. And so balance is a different thing, but anyway, I am going to finish these guys off here quick, and we're going to call this project done after me chit-chatting for forever. But people do ask me often about collaging and that kind of thing. So let's put some layers on these. I have some of these. They're called Ephemera pack labels. I want the black ones out of here. I'm not trying to add color to this project. And so there's a couple little ones here. My fingers are gluey. Those ones will work quick. And then I'm going to just stay with this little pack probably. That one looks good across the stem of that guy. I don't know if this one's going to work or not. We'll have to play with it, but let's see what else is in here. I have a really long one. That one might work too. Okay, so for stamps, I'm going to use the Sam Poole Creative Expressions. What is this one called? Dates from the Past. I have used this one often, as most of us have. It's a really basic stamp set that's good for a lot of different things. And so for that long label over there, I've got a number. And I'm going to stamp them in Scorched Timber Distress ink. It is my favorite ink of Tim Holtz, even more than Vintage Photo. I love this one. I think it is great for everything. It's dark, so if you don't want to use it, if you don't want to have things be dark, don't use it. But I really like it. I think it makes a really good antique inky color. It looks like antique ink is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, let me focus and get this done. Here's an 1842. We'll stamp on one of those little rectangle ones. I have this all upside down. Important for it not to be upside down. I mean, I could have switched my label around, I guess, but there's that guy. Okay, perfect. Let's just go ahead and keep with him. I don't want to change, apparently. And then on Tim's labels, he has them where they're printed, where the border isn't perfect. That kind of drives me batty. So I always trim those labels down. Now this one is a different shape. I need to see what we have that will fit in there. I wonder if this tiny little handwritten number will fit there. We're going to try it. So this one is like a little handwritten number. All right, there we go. So there's the little stamped bits of it. Let's get these labels trimmed down. See how like the border isn't perfect? I can't do that. So I have to hand trim them so that the border is a little more even. It's just, and I actually like to customize how the thickness on that border is. That's not perfect, but it's better. I think I like a thin border. I like the little labels to kind of, they're for a purpose, but they're not super thick. I don't want them to take away from the focal point, I guess. And there's another one. I'll trim all those off. This guy, he really just needs a little across the top. You can put them in a trimmer, or most people wouldn't even worry about it, but it just kind of drives me crazy. So there's that one. We're almost there. It's the little perfectionist in me, I guess. I don't know. Not that what I'm doing is perfect. I'm just saying. There we go. Better. All right. So let's get those glued on. Then we would ink around things. I won't hold you guys watching this video while I ink around it. I am going to stick some of that German paper measuring tape on. And I think we'll be good from there. So here, this one's just going to go right across. I was thinking about down here, but no, right across there. Don't care if I cover up the leaves. I would like it to be straight though. And that's pretty good. Okay. And then this guy. And then people also ask, well, how do you know where to put the label? How do you know where to put the focal point? It really is just, my eye sees that there needs to be something in this area. It's about balancing busy on one side, heavy on one side, light on the other. There's all kinds of different ways of doing that. Looking at that, explaining that to you guys. Okay, so we could go over here. Here, I could go up here in the corner if I really wanted. I know I want it down here, but I'm just saying you could put it a lot of places. All right, so this one we kept very simple. We only added that lace focal point and little paper in the background. And that's a winning combination. If you're ever in doubt, packing paper, lace, and a focal point will work for you. So there's that one. Perfect. Okay, couple more little finishing touches and I'm done with them. I'm going to ink them, but I also want that German tape. And let me find that. You guys have been asking. I do have it and I just need to get it cut and packaged for you. So let's go ahead and get a couple pieces of this. All right. And I just keep mine because it's a giant roll and you can see like it wants to bend and move all around. So I just keep it with a rubber band so that it's kind of staying together. All right. So I know that I want one on this one. Maybe I don't anymore. That's too much. That's too much. But over here, I think I do. Again, how do you know that you do? You can see that of all of these ones, we have an open spot here. It's lighter in weight. It feels lighter when you look at it. Your eye says, oh, this has got more space than this does. This is busier. This has more space. So that's where you know to put it, I guess. That's really the only way I know how to explain that. I'm sure there is a very technical way of explaining it. But for me, it's just my eye says that there is an open spot and that it needs something over there. This is a new glue stick and it is super goopy. So I'm just going to get that on there. Here we go. Now, could you go extra miles with this project? Could you do some little ink splatters? Could you have done an inked background before you did it? I just folded that over the top and rolled it to the bottom or to the back side here. I do want it straight and not squished. Okay, so there's that. There's blue glue under there. It will dry clear here in a moment. But you could go extra miles and stamp a background or ink up a background. You could do a splattery Tim Holtzy background. You could add little ink splatters all over the, or paint splatters all over the top. You certainly could do that. That one could go there. I don't want to cover up those numbers, or this one is kind of on the plain side. Let's do it. I'm not sure where. Let's ink or let's glue it and then let's just do it randomly. Do it random. Yeah, it's hard to glue these whenever your glue is super soft. I could use art glitter, but my fingers are already gluey. My brain says here. It just does. I don't have a rhyme or reason for that one. Okay, so there's those two that have that. Now, could you add a postage stamp? Yeah, you could add a postage stamp if you want to. You could add the little words. I brought in the Tim Holtz words if you wanted to put some of those on, maybe instead of a label or something like that. You sure could. Let me show you guys these up close. So we have that guy. This is the most basic, and that's where I said lace, some kind of fiber, fabric, something like that. Some kind of color. It doesn't have to be packing paper, but some kind of just solid color paper, and then a focal point. Tried and true. You will never go wrong with that formula. If you want to do book page music and a focal point, in truth, these are more different in color than they're looking on camera, but that's the way this one looks for now. So there's another combination. This one I added, and glue is wet right now, so they're going to smooth out here in a minute. I added 4 layers to this, and then I did a label and that. So there's really 6 things on here, but I really like this one. I think it's pretty. And that one's music, handwriting, focal point, and I added this little bit of color over here. And then there's this one. And this one has 1, 2 decorating things, a focal point, and then 3 layers. So you can see you have a lot of options from just what I showed you for layering, but that book is really what made these things beautiful and easy. It's just full of focal points. I hope that you guys are able to pick up this book. I will link it in the description box below the video. And if you're looking for any of the antique papers, they're either in my Etsy or at my live sales. So that's where I have all of that kind of stuff. I hope that you guys had fun, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye, guys.